So here we are again. It's day 49 of my VCV Rec experiments. And today I have something soft and tender. Something that fits in a lazy summer afternoon, I think. Alright, let's have a look at the patch. What I did today is actually diving into the code of these nomad strange attractors, because as I mentioned before, I wanted to let it run slower. So I changed some of the values for the pitch parameter in the code, and now I can let it run slower, which is what I'm doing in this patch. Scope here. Not that much slower than the last couple of days, but still a little bit. And we can do it even slower if we want to. So much so that it appears to just stand still here. And it changes at a glacial pace. That's of course not what we want today. So we let it go a little bit faster. Something like this. And it's of course only the upper part of the module. There is a lower part, the Whistler, as well, that I didn't hook up to the scope today. But what I did do was start a clock, 72 beats per minute, feed that to two Bernoulli gates. I first had one, but well, we'll see later. And that is triggering a sample and hold. The input of the sample and hold, we have here the shh from South Pole, 4 sample and holds in one module. And that lines up nicely with our 4 outputs of our strange attractors. So, on the trigger from the clock, filtered by the Bernoulli gate, gated by the Bernoulli gate, we get a value from the output of the strange attractor. And that value is then sent to this quad VCA to limit the range of voltages that then goes into our quantizer. And this Scala quantizer now has extra outputs as well that quantize the incoming signals according to the same scale, which I have set to my suspended pentatonic mean tone of 31 tet. So this is instead of the regular 12 divisions of an octave, it's 31 divisions of an octave, which then we choose 12 values from those 31 that are very close to a mean tone temperament, which was used like in the Renaissance. And from that we have a so-called suspended pentatonic scale. You can look it up if you want to find out more about that. Anyway, it sounds very pleasant. It's somewhat closer to just intonation from our regular equal temperament scale, so to say. Anyway, that's just a little tidbit of interest here. But you could just use a normal quantizer as well. You get slightly different tones. But more importantly, the four things that are the four outputs that we sample in the sample and hold, and then quantize, then go to the volt per octave inputs of 4 evenvcos. These oscillators are very nice to work with because of the octave setting here, which is a switch and not just a continuous dial. And I'm using only the sine wave output from these modules, and as you see, I have tuned them all at different octaves. So we have, you could say, soprano voice, which, if we mute all the others, is this one. And now, of course, she's silent. Oh, there she is. Very nice, isn't it? Yes. And then we have an alto voice, and slightly lower, although some of their ranges overlap. And then we have the red one here. We keep this mono. That is this one. It goes quite low, so maybe call it a baritone. And as you see here, the pan parameter is modulated as well, so this baritone voice swerves from left to right a bit. And then we have a proper bass. And I'm today using the AS mixer because 1, it makes panning easy, and 2, if you toggle a power meter, it uses very little power. Compared to, say, the Mixovnik, which I sometimes use, that has other neat little tricks, but yeah, I think the CF mixer is good, and it has a solo button that can be helpful. There's something with the panning on that one that doesn't quite work for me. It doesn't do what I expect it to do. I need to figure that one out. Anyway, so yeah, bass, baritone, alto. There she is. And soprano. And as you see, I have panned these two higher voices slightly differently, so that the highest one is a little bit more to the right, and the one below that a little bit more to the left. Alright, what else is going on? Down here we have the Bernoulli gate for the baritone and bass voices, and then the output from our first 2 oscillators goes through this formants module from Squinky Labs, vocal filter, to modulate it a bit, give it some variation. And so yeah, we have a modulated vowel parameter, and a few other things are modulated here. And it gives a bit of a tremolo in the voice. That makes it even more delicate. And the output of that goes through this mixer here, which I'm using to apply the envelope before it goes into smoke. So we have the output of the formants filter goes into the VCA, and then the output goes to this low pass filter, tangents, and the output of tangents goes into smoke, which is South Pole's version of clouds. I haven't really modulated clouds here at all, just dialed in something that sounded good because I wanted to keep it quiet today, delicate. And then here we apply an envelope from Nisty's AD module. And the decay parameter here is modulated. So this is our blue voice, right? This X output, I've more or less color coded it throughout, except here at the end. So our soprano voice, so to say, the blue one, is modulated here by the yellow output, the Y output from the Lorentz Strange Attractor. And then for the yellow voice, which I called the alto, that goes to this formants module. That one has an AD envelope that is modulated by the X output of this Whistler Strange Attractor. And so we alternate what is modulating what, so that we get some movement in this patch. So as you can see, there is two sets of AD formants tangent smoke, one on this side of the mixer and one on that side of the mixer. And then we have two more AD envelopes for the lower voices, the red and the green one. But these envelopes go straight to this mixer. This way, the reverb on smoke keeps ringing out even though the note is already finished. And then on the bass voice, I put this filter, the Ferox filter, with quite a bit of drive, which is again modulated, and to give it a bit more power. And then all of that goes into plateau, our reverb from Valley. So it's mostly dry here. I've dialed the wet back so it doesn't drown it in reverb, which I sometimes do and like, but not for this one. And I think that's it for my patch for today. Yeah, I mentioned I started with one Bernoulli gate because it has 4 outputs, and then I switched to 2, one part of the module for each voice, because otherwise you have the 2 voices alternating the whole time. Right, they never fire at the same time, these 2 outputs. And because I think that might be interesting sometimes. Plus, the other reason that if you use all the output, that means that at every beat there is a note that's being triggered. No rests. And I think this needs some rests now and then, some breathing space. And you could change the probability more to get like more rests, more breathing space in this patch, and dial down maybe even slower. Shall we have a try? And then it sounds like that. Maybe if you have trouble sleeping, you can put this on. And something in between would be like this. Yeah, it's quite pleasant as well. And I really like how the format filters, these vocal filters, have put movement into these voices. Well, sweet dreams. And if you like this, then hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and see you, well, tomorrow or the day after tomorrow for the last episode in this series, the last patch of my 50-day challenge. And what after that? Well, I have some ideas for some tutorials, so that's what I'll be working on in the next few weeks. And I'm sure I'll get another idea for a VCV rack based project. Well, that's it for this patch for today, this experiment. See you next time.